Welcome to Red vs. Bread, my new series where I take on your favorite restaurant chain's bread. Let's go. This week's challenger is the Cheesecake Factory. Now I know what you're thinking. Amanda, how can you compete with 21 inches of whole wheat honey sex appeal? I have no idea, but I'm gonna try. Alright, now let me give you the rundown for how this is gonna work. I did not make this beautiful piece of bread. It is from the Cheesecake Factory. Now, I'm gonna look up some copycat recipes, do my best to come up with my own, and at the end of all this, my brother and fellow breadhead Ken is gonna rate both loaves in 3 categories: taste, presentation, and texture. Now let's see how mine measures up. Let's get ready to crumble. I will see myself out. I am so sorry. Alright, so my first step for this bread is making a yeast mixture. So I'm gonna take a cup and a half of warm water. I'm gonna add 2 1/4 teaspoons instant dry yeast, or a packet. Dump that in. Now I'm gonna feed the yeast mixture with a tablespoon of sugar. Mix it all together. And now I'm just gonna let the yeast bask in their hot tub for about 5 minutes or until they're nice and frothy. So while this is resting, let's get our dry ingredients together. I'm going to stir together 2 cups bread flour. Then I'm gonna add 1 3/4 cups whole wheat flour, 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon cocoa powder.
Why?
Yes, there is actually cocoa powder in this bread. Every single copycat recipe I found had it, so I'll trust it. And for our last dry ingredient, coffee. I know what you're thinking. Amanda, stop putting weird stuff in your bread. Well, the thing about espresso powder and coffee is that you're not really going to be able to taste it. It's just going to accentuate the flavor of the cocoa powder. Think of it as cocoa powder's wingman. Now I'm going to mix these dry ingredients together until they're nice and incorporated. And I think that's all I'm going to do for my dry ingredients. Now let's figure out the wet ingredients. So let's take our yeast mixture, looking frothy.
Nice.
Add it to our dry ingredients. Now we're gonna take 2 tablespoons softened butter, butterfly, 1/4 cup maple syrup. That was honey. I literally just called it maple syrup. 1/4 cup honey. 2 tablespoons maple syrup. 2 teaspoons brown sugar, and 1 teaspoon salt. And now let's mix. And as you mix it, it should start to form in a little dough ball. A little arm workout too if you want to make this. Alright, and now I think it's incorporated enough to start kneading. I am going to turn the dough on to a floured surface and get to work for about 10 minutes. If at any point it starts feeling sticky, just add a little more flour to it because you don't want it sticking to your hands or the table. All right, it's been about 10 minutes and my biceps and triceps are killing me, so I think it's about time to let the bread rise. Now let's turn the dough out and get to shaping.
Wow.
So I am going to make 2 baguettes. So I'm going to cut our dough in half. Okay, I'm no bread expert, so don't be coming at me in the comments now. I say this as I have a show called Red vs. Bread. I'm trying. I'm just gonna kind of elongate it and then I'm gonna pinch a seam. Now, one of the factors is presentation. So I'm gonna be a little anal about these.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So now I'm gonna pinch my seam. Alright. I think I'm happy with these. So now I am going to dust them with some cornmeal on the bottom and get them on a cookie sheet to rise once again. I'm happy with it, I say, as I perceive this. I'll never be happy with it. They look like massive. I'm not gonna say what they look like massive, but you know what they look like massive. Let's just hope they don't taste like that. Now I got my cookie sheet, so it's time to get these loaves ready. So I'm gonna take some cornmeal and dust the entire cookie sheet with it. It's gonna keep the loaves from sticking to the pan, and it's gonna give them a nice finish on the bottom. Now I'm going to take both loaves and I'm going to place them seam side down right on top of the cookie sheet. So you can see. Or maybe so you can't. Number 2. Before I let these rise, I'm going to finish them with the oats that you find on the Cheesecake Factory version. Now, I always thought this was a weakness in the Cheesecake Factory bread. I just think there's not a lot of flavor to them. The texture is good though, so I thought I'm gonna add just a little bit of brown sugar to them. Just a little tiny bit, maybe like a teaspoon. I'm gonna mix that up. Then I'm going to brush the loaves with water. This is so, oops, will stick. Now, just give it a little sprinkle. And there we have it. All right, now let these rest for a final 60 to 90 minutes, and I'll see you then. All right, and now pop these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes.
A few minutes later.
And now it's time to let them cool. And our bread is done. It didn't quite get the same color the Cheesecake Factory has on theirs, but we'll see how it measures up. And there we have it. Moment of truth. Let's see what Ken thinks of my competitor.
I'm no stranger to this bread, but let's go ahead and dive in here. Yep. Fresh bread. Presentation. I mean, it's bread. It's brown. It's got oats on it. That's cool, I guess. 6 breads out of 10. Taste. A little bit sweet. A little bit nutty. A little bit on the dry side, actually. 5 breads out of 10. Texture. I don't know if you could say dry as a taste or a texture. A little bit of both. See, it's got a little squish to it. Tears nicely. Give it 6 out of 10 texture. Not that much of a crust, but I don't really think that's the selling point of this bread. So, I'd eat it.
And now it's time to see how my bread measures up.
From a measurement perspective, this. Clearly this measures larger than the other one. It's a little heavy. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're forward thinking here. Let's see how it tastes. It's definitely a difference in the texture off the bat there. It's got a little more of a crunch, the bite, the crust itself, but a nice, less dense chew in the middle. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. I like that. Presentation, I'm partial to things that are large just for the sake of being large, so I'm gonna have to give it 6.5 out of 10. I think it could go with a little more color, honestly, but looks nice. I'm interested. Taste-wise, 7 out of 10 breads. It's good. The other bread is kind of in a strange spot where it's kind of sweet, but not really sweet. I feel like it should kind of stick with one thing, you know? They say don't try to ride 2 horses with 1 ass, so prefer to just ride one and do it well. From a texture perspective, it's got a lot of interesting things going on here. See, check this out. Hope you can hear that. It's got a little bit going on with the crust, and then the inside has that nice, soft interior. I kind of relate to that, so. Texture-wise, Yeah, it's good. 7 out of 10 breads. I like this. Well,
So who won this episode of Red versus Bread?
you can do math, right?
I'm not the one in the MIT shirt.
Well,
I need to hear it from you.
this one has more breads than this one. So more breads is how you win the game. So this is a champion.
Bread's the champion.
Put up on the screen. This one got that many breads. This one, less breads. More bread, more better. Thank you.